Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Thank
Good
you.
afternoon.
It's 5 o'clock. With that, we will call our meeting to order. We will start with the public hearing. First, I'd like to welcome the commission for participating online or via various platforms. Hopefully, we won't have to do this too much longer. I know when I was here for city council meeting prior to this meeting, there were numerous discussions as to how they can start participating all in present tense, everybody present in council chambers, although there were a couple of holdouts that were looking to participate remotely. Hopefully we can get back together. I think it's a better meeting. I look forward to that. I would like to.
You lost you.
Yeah, Matt, I think we need your mic on. When you.
But I wasn't talking.
We lost Tom.
I'm here.
Okay. We lost you for a moment there.
With that, we will start our public hearing. Roll call, please. Commissioner Tallman.
Schneider.
Yeah.
Lammers.
Present.
Med. Johnson.
Right here.
Tallman here. Ingram.
Present.
Hepner.
Here.
Ransgard. Reinhardt.
Here.
Manus.
Here.
And Garrington.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Tallman. Our first case of new business is a public hearing for case REZ 20-05. Request of Richard Hazlett to rezone 508 and 510 Marquette Street from R4C Single and Two Family Central Residential District to C1 Neighborhood Commercial District. Matt?
Thank you. This is Matt Flynn, the Senior Planning Manager for the Community and Economic Development Department. This request is initiated by Reverend Richard Hazlett, who is in the room. He is a pastor, or at least a staff member of Christ Apostolic Church, which is located immediately north of this property on Marquette Street. And very simply, this is a request to allow the adjacent church to build a parking lot. They've recently added a parking lot immediately east of their church building. They'd like to do the same here. This is a Google Street View of those who are watching the presentation. You can see there is some gravel on this lot, which is not a legal parking lot. That's not to say that there aren't people parking on gravel all over town, but I think with the end result being an improved parking lot to city's standards, I think it would, even though we're not supposed to give our recommendations, I think that would improve the situation. Here's the existing zoning map. The entire block is zoned R4C, but as you can see, there's also, Marquette Street is one of those urban corridors, so you see a variety of zoning. In the vicinity, you have industrial mixed use, you have residential, you have some C1 multifamily. Future land use, again, here's that residential general classification, which you should all be able to cite by now, is not an exclusive residential area. It does call for limited higher intensity uses along the edges, particularly arterial streets, and Marquette falls into that category. And again, I mentioned, I think I probably missed the slide here, but, so we have that residential general, but we also have the urban corridor designation in the plan. As far as public notification goes, we notified owners within 200 feet. We placed a sign on the property. Last Thursday, we had a neighborhood meeting, and other than the petitioner, myself, and Chairman Ingram, no one attended that meeting. You know, here we always try and alert the council early on what possible issues are, and to be honest, I really can't come up with any issues at this point. We have requested technical review, and we would expect any comments to be presented along with the recommendation, which will be at the next meeting, June 16th. Assuming it moves on from there, the committee of the whole, another public hearing will be on July 1st. Do you have any questions?
Mr. Commissioner, or Chair, I do. Susan speaking.
Go ahead, Commissioner Lambers.
Hey, Matt, does the church own the white house that was like almost sitting on top of the parking lot in one of your slides?
Okay, Reverend Hazlett is saying no, that they do not.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions at this time prior to the petitioner speaking?
Yes, I have one. This is Paul.
Go ahead, Commissioner Reinhardt.
After looking at the picture, I only have a question as it relates to ingress and egress from that parking lot area. It doesn't look like, at least I didn't see it in the picture, that there's a natural driveway type entrance there. It looks like you just drive across the sidewalk to get into that parking lot. Am I missing something?
Well, as part of the development process, I don't believe the parking lot has been designed to any great degree, but it's expected and assumed that all standards from stormwater detention to zoning to access would all be approved by the city. I can tell you that the church is working with Townsend Engineering, I believe, and getting a head nod there. And you know, as you probably know, throughout the years, they're a reputable local firm and quite honestly know what they're doing.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have one.
Go ahead, Commissioner Manus.
Matt, I am just asking if you could give me and the other members here an update. If the church gets the rezoning, constructs their parking lot, but decides in the future it's no longer needed, what's the process for redeveloping the property into other uses allowed in the C1 zone?
Sure. Of course, when you zone property, particularly going from residential to commercial, you have to take into consideration not only what the proposed use is at the time, but what are some of the potential future uses. And regardless of the parking lot or not, I'm very comfortable with a C1 designation here, which would allow limited retail, office, multifamily, restaurants. One notable exception, though, and again, it's as we found out through the most recent rezoning there at Locuston, Iowa, there is one of the big distinctions between C1 and C2 is that C1 does not allow retail alcohol sales. So that would be a use not allowed. I did talk with the property owner across the street, and they expressed that concern, but once I told them that there would not be any retail alcohol sales, they were very comfortable with the proposal.
So it would basically be if the church decided they did not require that for parking in the future and it was sold it would just be a building permit so long as it complies with the normal C1 use.
There'd be site plan approval for any building. I'll go ahead, point this out. There's a number of uses in C1 that requires a special use permit. Another distinction between C1 and C2 and the other commercial districts is that C1 does not require on-street or off-street parking. So any parking that may occur here, if it can't be accommodated on site, may be located on adjacent side streets. But again, C1 being neighborhood commercial, at least the intent that a fair number of customers using a future developed lot would be actually walking to the property.
So no concerns by the staff with any future development in C1?
By staff?
Yes.
Well, again, at the public hearing, we try not to play our cards too much, but again, as that one slide indicated, currently we haven't identified any particular concerns about the proposal in front of you.
Thank you.
Any additional questions at this time?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
Steve Garrington.
Go ahead, Commissioner Garrington.
I did drive by, and there is an alleyway between the two, between this piece of the land and the church itself, so that you could get in and out through the alleyway. And the church was remarkably well kept up for the neighborhood, in my opinion. And I thought if they could keep up a parking area as well as keep up the church itself, it would be an improvement. I would see it to the neighborhood.
Thank you, Commissioner Garrington.
That's it.
At this point, I would like to ask the Reverend Hazlett if he would like to step forward and explain his petition, and then we will see if we have any additional questions. Mr. Hazlett, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Secretary, and thank you for allowing me to have this moment to speak. As some of you have already noticed through the pictures and the presentation that was given by Matt Flynn there, we are currently on 6th and Marquette, and we have two properties there. Just a brief little history there. We purchased some land and we built a building. The cornerstone was placed in 1996, and we have an existing building there now. We recently acquired the property to the south of us, where that alley is located from the alley to 5th Street. We've acquired that property there for additional parking. A lot of our petitioners were parking on the street, on 6th Street, as well as across the street in a lot that we had across the street with Tim McDonald. We built a parking lot on the side of our church building, which allowed us to have 11 parking spaces, and 2 of those are for handicap parking, along with 2 handicap parking in front of the church. We were able to get that with the city as well. That gave us a little bit more parking to where our elderly petitioners and also women with small children didn't have to cross Marquette Street, as busy as that street is. We didn't have to worry about their safety crossing the street there. We try to advise them to park right alongside of the church there. We've been able to manage our church building. We keep it up. The housekeeping of it and the curb appeal of it, I think, is acceptable to the city. When we built the new parking lot, we were able to do some landscaping there that we've managed to keep appealing as well. And this is what we want to do to the south parking lot. Now that we have that parking lot there, we still have some petitioners that are parking alongside the church as well as across the street and having to manage the traffic on Marquette Street. By acquiring this property to the south of the building, we want to maximize our parking, increase our parking, and allow all of our partitioners to park on the west side of Marquette and not have to contend with that traffic there. I heard one of the commissioners mention the drive. Looks like somebody just driving through. There is an approach on 5th Street, from 5th Street into that lot that we own. There is an approach there from 5th Street and that house. There's a small duplex, and we do not own that property, but they approach from Fifth Street into that parking area, and that's where they park. I have not spoken to the owner of the property, of the duplex, but they've been parking on our land, and there hasn't been a problem there. Forthcoming though, as we go forward and we get this rezoning to where we can maximize our parking to the south, and I was hoping the owner of that property would be here or be a part of this process. But we plan on taking away that approach. I've spoken to Townsend Engineering, who is working with us, that did the engineering to the parking lot to the east of our church building, and also is going to do the engineering for the south of the alley there. But we plan on taking that approach away from Fifth Street and then putting up some type of gate or restriction into our parking lot, so it's just for the parishioners. Parishioners can go in and out of that parking lot, and it'll be restricted from just random parking in that area. It might be conflicting to the owner of that duplex there, but I don't know who he is, and certainly would like to talk to him with his tenants there. And maybe there's something that we can work out. I do want to maximize that area there so that all of our parking for our parishioners will be on the west side of Marquette Street. And we don't have to, women with small children, especially our elderly, I'm trying to get all the elderly in our handicap parking space and alongside the church, so our elderly don't have far to walk, and it's just more convenient. And safety is one of our concerns as well.
Commissioners, any additional thoughts or questions at this time of the petitioner or staff? Hearing none, I would like to also reflect the commissioner's comment that your property is very well maintained, and when I drove by there, I was very impressed with the curb appeal, as you put it, and I hope you and your parishioners continue to maintain it as you are. It's a good reflection on the neighborhood.
Right.
I want to thank you.
And I just a brief comment here real quick, if you allow me. Talked with Townsend Engineering, and there's some landscaping that we'd like to do with the south parking lot, and maybe add, kind of like a green space, a little tree or something for the water runoff, so that we kind of, offer a little bit more appeal and beautify the area as well.
Thank you. I look forward to Townsend's drawings.
Okay.
Thank you. Commissioners, any final comments before we close case REZ 20-05? Hearing none, we will close case number REZ 20-05, which will conclude our public hearing. We'll move on to our regular meeting. Roll call, please. Commissioner Tallman.
Snyder.
Here.
Lammers.
Present.
Med. Johnson.
Here.
Tallman here. Ingram.
Present.
Hepner.
Here.
Bransgard.
Here.
Reinhardt.
Here.
Manus.
Here.
And Garrington.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Tallman. Report of city council activity.
Yeah, I can report that, speaking of the Locust and Iowa rezoning, that was withdrawn.
Thank you, Matt. We'll move on to Secretary's report. Any comments on the Secretary's report?
Move report.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to keep the report as printed. Any additional comments? Hearing none. All in favor of the Secretary's report signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it will stay as printed. Report of comp plan, anything new, Matt?
No, nothing.
Thank you. Tonight, we do not have any zoning activity, old or new business. We will move on to subdivision. We have one new business item. Would Commissioner Tallman care to read that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Case F 20-04, request of IMEG Corp. for a final plat for Jersey Farms Commercial Park, 4th Edition. A two-lot subdivision on 16.69 acres, more or less, of property located on the west side of Elmore Avenue, approximately 1,100 feet south of Veterans Memorial Parkway. Staff recommends the Planning and Zoning Commission accept the listed findings and forward case F 20-04 to the city council with a recommendation for approval, subject to the following 4 conditions, and I so move.
Case number F20-04 has been moved and seconded for discussion. Matt or Brandon?
Brandon will give the staff report, and I'll try and manage the PowerPoint.
All right,
Thank you.
I'll read from afar. So no, it's okay. So the subdivision is located on the west side of Elmore Avenue. It's about 1,100 feet south of Veterans Memorial Parkway in the Elmore Corners District. The Elmore Corners District aligns with the future land use of regional commercial. So used to saying residential, but regional commercial, so no problems there. It's a 2-lot subdivision, about 16 and a half acres, and meant to accommodate commercial development.
Thank you, Brandon.
And so that's pretty much it, and the list of conditions are there in the report, and if you have any questions, be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Brandon. I didn't mean to step on your feet. Any questions from the commissioners at this time? It appears Commissioner Tallman has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Brandon, at this time, do we know what the proposed development might be?
Yeah, there's it's called Aquatech Car Wash. It's actually a 2-story car wash with commercial on the 2nd floor. And it is in the development stages right now. We're working through the site plan and building approval now.
Thank you.
If I could chime in, being part of the Elmore Corners zoning district, this project did go through the city's design review board. Don't want to editorialize too much, but I think coming back with a 2-story kind of a unique design helped it along through the process. So if you look at the plat, you'll see just the one lot that's about, was it 1.35 acres, something? About an acre and a half. You also see a stub for a future street. The intent of that street is to eventually loop back to Elmore, so we're not creating a number of cul-de-sacs along the Elmore corridor.
Thank you, Matt. Any questions from commissioners? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Schneider? Yes. Lammers?
Yes.
I'm sorry, what? Lammers?
Commissioner Lambers,
Yeah.
would you repeat?
Oh, thank you. Med?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Tallman, yes. Hefner?
Yes.
Bransgard?
Yes.
Reinhardt?
Yes.
Manus?
Yes.
Garrington?
Yes.
Motion carries, Mr. Chairman, and that concludes the new business under the subdivision activity.
Thank you, Commissioner Tallman. Future business, Matt or Brandon, any upcoming thoughts?
Got a little bit of subdivision activity, no rezonings pending that I can think of. You got anything?
Just that subdivision coming up, the 32-lot subdivision, I believe.
Yeah, this is a residential subdivision at Hillendale and West Kimberly, kind of to the east of the Jehovah Witness Church out there. I think they're doing some grubbing out there. We've gotten a few calls wondering what's going on, so that's what's in the works.
Thank you. Any communications? Thank you. We will move on to other business, which tonight will be the election of officers. I currently have nominations for secretary, vice chair, and chair. I will start with the nomination of Dave Tallman for secretary. Would anybody else have a nomination to be considered? Hearing none, go ahead. Hearing none, we will move on to a vote on Commissioner Tallman for secretary. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, Commissioner Tallman will remain in the secretary position. I was saddened to see that Commissioner Lammers is stepping down as vice chair in her email last night, but she has nominated Commissioner Manus in her place. Do we have any additional nominations at this time for vice chair? Hearing none, all those in favor of Commissioner Manus as the new vice chair, please signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, welcome Commissioner Manus to the executive board of our commission. Look forward to working with you. There is a Thank you. There is a nomination of myself, Bob Ingram, to remain in the chair position. Do we have any additional nominations at this time? Hearing none, all those in favor of myself as your chairman, please signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, I want to thank you all for re-electing me as your chairman. I will work diligently to make this the best commission in Davenport, and I appreciate all of your confidence in me and look forward to working with each and every one of you over the next 11 months. Any additional comments or thoughts moving forward?
Thank you to you all for serving. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I have heard some rumors. There's some talk of us possibly moving back into council chambers soon. I hope all the details can get worked out. I look forward to seeing everybody in person again as opposed to faceless names on a screen. I hope every one of you stay healthy. I hope apparently Mr. Tallman's got some concerns, but we won't discuss that at the moment. I hope all of you stay safe. I hope all of you stay healthy, and I really hope you avoid any of the civil distress that we have right now. I feel that Davenport's a great city, and I think our police department, fire department, sheriff's department. Huh?
We lost him.
We lost you again.
Am I on, Matt?
There you go.
Okay.
When I mute myself, I'm muting the whole room.
I was just starting to say that I want to thank our police department, our fire department, the sheriff's department, and all the neighboring cities that helped us try to keep things under control the other night. I think our mayor did a wonderful job. I'm proud to be a part of this city and look forward to working with all of you over the next year and can't wait to get all of you back in person. And again, thank you for your attendance tonight, virtually.
Yes.
Do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of adjournment signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned and see you soon.
Thanks all. Bye.